Couple announcements, phones and pagers, please turn them off, put them on vibrate, so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. If you disagree with any decisions this commission makes, you have the right to appeal to the council. There are appeal cards on the railing over here to my right. Please feel free to get one and fill it out. You don't have to turn it in tonight. You can turn it in within the next 10 days, I believe it is. Speaker cards, if you wish to speak on any case, please complete the speaker card, turn it in to staff, and they'll get it up here to us. Each side will have 10 minutes with a 5-minute rebuttal on each case that we handle. Please exit the building. Don't try and carry on conversations here in the chambers or in the lobby out there, as the sound does reverberate back into the chambers here. Please stand for the invocation by Mr. Randolph and the pledge by Mr. Davis.
Gracious Father, once again we come to you to say thank you, Lord, for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. We thank you for watching over, protecting us this day. We thank you for being able to come here tonight for this planning committee meeting. We thank you for all of our commissioners. We thank you for those that's present today, and our staff and our council that represent this parish. And all these blessings, Lord, we ask that you allow us to make the decision that's in the best interest of those that we serve. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the minutes from the November 12th meeting. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any corrections that need to be made? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Randolph to approve, second by Mr. Manella. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Ron, we have any items that need to be
Postponed?
postponed or
Yes, sir. The third case on minor subdivision on page 2, MS 14-11-067. The staff requests postponement due to the fact that they have to provide some additional information.
which one, Ron?
MS 14-11-067.
Oh, okay. All right.
Also under the revocation closings review, revocation case 14-12-002. Also, staff and applicant request tabling due to some additional information and documentation required.
Okay, that one needs to be postponed.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And under tentative subdivision review, Beatico Creek parcel 11, developer has withdrawn this case, so no action is required, but to let the board know and the public know that it has been withdrawn.
Okay, I don't think we have to take any action on.
No action is required,
On that
just
one.
information.
All right, on the, on MS 14-11-067, this is a 4.056 acre parcel into lots JA1 and JA2, Ward 9, District 11. The owner is Jesse and Enola Ashley. Surveyor is BMF Professional Land Surveyors. This is in Honorable Steve Stefantik's district. We need a motion to postpone on that.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Lauren, seconded by Mr. Willie. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, and under revocation closings, REV 14-12-002, revocation of a portion of Algiers Street, Slidell, Louisiana, Ward 8, District 12. The applicants Own Your Own LLC. The surveyor is J.V. Burks and Associates. Parish Council District is Honorable Jerry Bender. We need to postpone this one also. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Drum, seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, and that one, we don't need to do anything. All right, we'll go back to the beginning of the agenda. On the consent calendar, any items not pulled from the consent calendar are automatically dispensed by vote as approved and are as per staff comments. Items pulled from the consent calendar shall be discussed and voted upon individually. Do we have any of the items on the consent calendar that need to be pulled?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull the first one, entering parish right away, unnamed road, Ward 3, District 5.
Second.
All right. And I would like to see MS 14-11-065 pulled also. Do I have a
So
motion
moved.
on that? Motion by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Davis. To pull that one. And we need also MS 14-11-066 on page 2, first item on page 2 pulled.
Yes. Which one?
MS 14-11-066, 95.88
You want that one
combined.
pulled too?
Pardon?
That one will need to be pulled, you think?
It needs to be
So
pulled.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Matthews to pull, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Davis. All right,
I believe that leaves one item on the
on the consent
consent calendar.
Yeah,
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar, being the entering parish right-of-way bootlegger road.
all right. We have a motion and a second on the remaining item on the consent calendar. Please vote. Motion carries. All right, first item that was pulled is entering parish right-of-way, unnamed roadway, Ward 3, District 5, request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of making drainage and traffic improvements. The debtor is AutoZone Incorporated. This is in Honorable Marty Gould's district. Well, we got into this one, so. All right, Ron, who's gonna maintain the drainage on that?
I'm personally not going to maintain it, but it
That's all
will
right. We
be
put you on a backhoe and,
within that right of way. The parish will maintain it. Yes, there's
Okay.
a little drainage ditch within that 20-foot right of way.
okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned with this one, that it says drainage improvement and traffic circulation. I don't see anything in here that explains to us exactly what the drainage improvement is supposed to be, and seriously, nothing to tell us what the traffic circulation means. I think we need a great deal more information. In fact, if you look at the second one that we passed, that's the kind of information that I like to see. It's got plenty of information about what they're doing. This has nothing.
Jeremy, would you like
I'd
to?
like to postpone it until we get more information.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to postpone, entering the parish right-of-way, the debtor's AutoZone. It's under Marty Gould's, district. Let's see, Bill, you made the motion, and Jimmy, you seconded?
Yes.
Please vote. It's the, first item under where AutoZone is. You hadn't voted.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't understand what he doesn't have.
Before we vote,
Okay.
already voted.
Already voted, and motion, you had question,
You
Clark?
didn't ask for us any discussion on it.
That's why we all voted against it. There was a motion made, but there was no discussion,
Okay,
with
all
all due
right.
respect and opinion, but.
Motion to reconsider by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote on that.
Vote yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, this is a motion to, reconsider. Motion carries. Okay. Pug, you had a
No,
question on this?
I guess a concern I have, Dave, is that, with all due respect, Bill made his opinion public and made a motion, and we passed it, when nobody else had any opportunity. I would
All right,
like to
I'm
know
sorry, it was my fault because I didn't
You know,
see the
what-
light on.
what other discussion there might be. You know, maybe somebody else might have something to say about it. I don't
Okay.
know anything about it, but what we had in the packet.
Right,
And albeit it is sketchy.
okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments on this? Ms. Calzabon?
Yeah, exactly what are the concerns and what other information are you looking for, Bill?
Well, it says drainage improvements. I don't see anything in here. I don't see anything in here that says what the drainage improvements, changes, or anything are going to be. I can't figure out from this map that has just some black lines on it, that's it for the location. Also, when they start affecting traffic circulation, that concerns me a great deal. I don't have a clue where the traffic circulation will be. I'd like to have a great deal more information about exactly what the drainage improvements are and exactly what the traffic circulation is going to be. And on the agenda, it says traffic improvements, but on the resolution, it says traffic circulation. So I'm not sure whether it's an improvement or not. I think that there is very little information. And again, when you look at the second entering Parish right away, there's a plethora of information. I mean, almost too much information, but that's what we want. Almost.
I guess when I look at this, it's, one of the requirements is petitioner has to produce the Corps of Engineers, you know, all the permits and everything that they have to go through, to improve, that it would have to be an improvement in the system in order to get that permit. I'm not sure about the traffic. I know there are some traffic, issues when they do go in and start, moving, culverts or whatever it is that they're doing. But I'm under the assumption that when it says it's an improvement, that's what it is, that it will eventually, because of all the documents stating that, and the expenses by the petitioner, so it's not going to cost the parish, but I would assume that our engineering department agrees that it would be an improvement.
Well, we're not the engineering department.
No, and I'm not an engineer, so that's why I like to
Todd?
go with the
Mr. Chair,
engineer.
I'd like to find out if there's anything that staff can add, or if there's anyone in the audience that might be representing the petitioner that can add to this discussion.
Okay,
We can add to it, but John Thompson with DDG's here to explain what the traffic improvement and drainage improvements is, if you let him have the floor.
all right, good evening.
Good evening. My name's John Thompson. I'm with Duplantis Design Group. We're the engineer on this project. We are proposing to connect our driveway to the existing Walgreens driveway to improve traffic conditions. The drainage improvements you speak of is just simply a small drainage ditch that will allow the stormwater runoff to drain to the right-of-way. that's really all we're doing. We just want to connect our driveways so we can improve traffic circulation.
All right. Bill, does that answer your question?
Not really. Where's the plan for this? I've got this. And I can't tell, the only thing I can tell from this is it has something to do with AutoZone. I'd like to see more.
I have some larger size plans I could share with you after if you
Well,
wish.
and we should have gotten this in our packet, okay? Rather than have to try to figure it out on the fly tonight. I'm not happy with that. And because of that, I've made a motion to postpone. I'd like to get some real information as to what they're doing, why they're doing it, and where they're doing it. We don't have any of that before us.
All right. We have some more folks that would like to speak. Todd, did that answer your question?
It did, but I'd like to make the comment, while it's not very clear, and it has a lot to do with the size of the print, why it's not clear, the concepts are certainly spot on with what we'd like to do in this parish, and I'm going to support it when its opportunity comes up.
All right, Mr. Willie?
The proposed drainage plans, that'll be subject to staff approval and everything, right?
Yes, it would be subject to staff approval, and we're definitely going to review it to make sure it meets all parish ordinances. In my opinion, Mr. Matthew, I think they sort of went above and beyond with a set of plans already drawn up. If you look at the resolution for the enter the right-of-way, it's pretty generic. Most of the times, there's not a set of plans until after approval, because just the money spent for that. But I do understand that it's difficult to read, but this would be the full-size plan would be what we would be looking at for review.
And most of the time, it's something like fiber optic cable that doesn't affect drainage, doesn't affect traffic, which are two very important things in this parish. And I think we need something more when it's going to affect drainage and it's going to affect traffic, rather than just the generic, it's going to be improvement. And I, for one, I know you guys do a great job, but if we're going to give it all to you to approve it, then why does it even come before us if we're going to let you guys be the approvals? I've said that before, and I agree. I don't think everything needs to be for you guys to do it. If it's coming before me, I need to approve it. If I'm going to vote for it, I need to be confident of what it's going to do. And in this case, I'm not.
Okay, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, I appreciate the gentleman up at the podium, and maybe you can help me out on this. Just looking at the plat itself that you have, what is the total length there? Because that's one of the things I was questioning,
Total length of what?
of the drainage area you intend on digging out.
I have to check my plans, actually. I don't have them in front of
See,
me.
that's
but-
another thing. I mean, obviously, if you don't know, we can't know either, but, and I have to agree with Bill here. I mean, is it gonna affect the traffic that you're talking about going into the roadway while it's going to the AutoZone while it's being constructed?
I'm sorry, the traffic going into the AutoZone while it's being
Right, does it have
constructed?
anything to do with the traffic situation? Is it gonna influence any kind of traffic diversion or anything like that while it's being constructed?
I can't speak to while it's being constructed. I mean, certainly it'll generate more trips after the fact because the AutoZone will be located there.
Right,
But, I mean, we're just trying to improve circulation of that AutoZone site, you
Right.
know, to connect to the other driveway to have a better access point.
but you can see the point is, I mean, it's kind of vague about it. It's just a rectangle on a piece of map for us and doesn't really tell us anything.
Sure.
Like Bill says, we could just say, yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, we'll provide better plans at a bigger scale so, you
Right.
can understand the scope better.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Richard?
One more question. The traffic circulation, the words that we're using here, it's really just within the parking lot system of private property, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is
So we're not
correct.
talking about public roads here, correct?
No public improvements whatsoever.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions? Ms. Casabon?
No, do we have a second to that postponement?
No,
Okay, let's-
wait a minute now.
I'm just asking because I was going to make a motion to approve, but I didn't know if we had a second to that one, that we needed to vote on the postponement or not.
Bill, did you make a motion? Yes, I did. Okay. I'll second that again. Okay, all right. Mr. Matthews made a motion to postpone, seconded by Mr. Davis. Please vote. Motion fails, 4 yeas, 5 nays.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Casabon to approve. Seconded by Mr. Richard.
That's correct.
Please vote. Computer's slow tonight. Motion carries, 7 yea, 2 nay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next item is under minor subdivisions, MS 14-11-065, 16.8 combined acreage parcels into parcel A through E, Ward 10, District 6. The owner is Bonnie A. Paley. Surveyors LS Land Surveying LLC. This is an Honorable Richard Tanner's district. I had asked that this be pulled. Is anyone here in the audience? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
You want me to read the staff report, Mr. Dougherty?
Pardon?
You want me to read the staff report?
Yeah, just a moment. Let me. Okay, Ron, go ahead and read.
Okay, the reason why the public hearing is required is because more than one of the parcels is being accessed with a private drive. The owner is proposing to create 5 parcels from a combined 16.8 acres. And since more than one of the parcels are being served via private drive, said private drive must be constructed to a minimum parish standard in accordance to section 40-045.01 minimum construction standards for a private drive of subdivision ordinance 499. Staff has no objections.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. State your name and please be sure and fill out a speaker card.
Okay, I do have the speaker card.
Okay, all right. And it's the staff there, and they'll get it up here to us. The question I had, on parcel C, there appears to be a house there, but I don't see any right-of-way currently there to access that house.
Okay, I'm sorry, which parcel C?
Right.
I believe it's being accessed via Downs Avenue, Mr.
Yes,
Dougherty.
there is a driveway on Downs Avenue for parcel C.
Okay,
And then the proposed private lane, or private road, actually does go through from Downs Avenue through C, D, into E, and accessing B and A.
all right. Then you have a cul-de-sac at the end of it, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Mr. Matthews.
Staff, I have a question for you. It looks like, was it Pellis Lane? It looks like
Pie
it.
Lane.
I'm sorry,
Pie.
Pie?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, it's P-A-I-L-L-E. It is pronounced pie.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. But it looks like it has 2 90-degree turns right there. Is that something we want?
Well, the purpose for that is the 3 acres right adjacent to the parcel C is already a set parcel. So we needed that right angle in order to, for the road to go midway between the parcels. This is a division of my husband and I's property to my children. And we wanted to create 5 equal acreages. And that's why there is a, what appears to be a right angle.
And it won't exactly be 90 degree. I mean, they have a 35-foot right-of-way in which to place the roadway, so there'll be some softening of that curve within those angles. And again, it's servicing a private family compound, so it shouldn't be any big, major issue with traffic.
It just looks like a very difficult turn to negotiate what's on the plan.
I think what they're showing on the plan is how the surveyor had to construct it, but our idea with the road is to come into parcel C and to come enough over so that it would go into the other parcel's DNA without an actual right turn.
Yeah, and they'll be working with our engineering department. If there ends up being any kind of issues with traffic safety, they'll work out those issues and make adjustments to the right-of-way if needed.
Okay. Yes.
And Ron and Jeremy, I would also recommend that you eye this road in a way that, looking forward into the future, in the event that perhaps the parish's approach to bring it into the system, that we don't run into any difficulties with drainage requirements or anything else associated with it.
Well, we just need to remember that, with the 35-foot right-of-way, obviously, we wouldn't be able to take that into the system. They'd have to widen it to a 60-foot right, in which case we would have enough right-of-way to make any proper adjustments we would need in the future.
And I agree with you, and except for that, I guess it would be like an S-turn right there. And as long as there would be enough room within that 35-foot width to put the appropriate drainage, roadside drainage in there, then, yeah, I don't think it would be an issue.
All right, Mr. Davis, I believe you had your light on.
Yeah, Ms. Bai, so you live on the current house on the 3 acres
Yes.
off of Downs, correct?
Yes.
And you're just gonna give these parcels to your children?
Yes.
Okay. I like the way you have the pie lane, and I'll tell you why. Since it's a private drive and it's not on your property, since you're giving this away, they're gonna have to keep it up.
Right. And I
Good job,
did-
good
I
job. You're giving them land, let them pay for the lane. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Willie.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the piece of property and the family as well, and I move for approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Willie to approve, seconded by Ms. Casabon. Do you have any other questions, Ms. Casabon? All right, I see no other lights on. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, page 2. MS 14-11-066, 95.88 combined acreage parcels, add revoked right-of-way in the parcels A and B, Ward 5, District 6. The owner's James Stuyanoff. The surveyor's John E. Bono and Associates. This is in Honorable Richard Tanner's district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the commission remembers a few months ago, this is related to a revocation of power line right-of-way where the owner of the property had owned some internal parcels off a power line. If you look at the survey attached, it was a 14.5 acre tract, a 2.0 and a 2.05 acre tract, with the remaining balance being a 77 acre tract. They were required through our revocation process to enter the minor subdivision process to combine these lots together in order to perform this function, which is to create 2 larger parcels from those 4 total parcels. So this is, again, the aftermath of that. Again, the staff has no objections to it since it ends up being 1 lot accessing a private drive, and no minimum requirement or standard is required for the roadway construction. Staff has no objections.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Martha or Jinx Jumanville, and I represent Mr. Stoyanoff. I'm his attorney, and we have been going through this. I think this is our 3rd appearance before you, and we've had a meeting with staff council. And so all that we're really doing, as Ron said, is that the 77-acre parcel is already a separate tract of record. The concern of the staff in revoking the road was, even though we had agreed to assimilate the 14 acres and the 2 acres and the 2.05 into one parcel by an authentic act, the parish did require the re-subdivision. So that's really all we're doing, is we're making a bigger parcel out of the 14 and the 2 and the 2.05. The 77-acre parcel really remains unchanged.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else in the audience wish to comment on this? I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Ms. Casabon.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve. We've been over this, unless you said, a number of times.
Motion by Ms. Casabon to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Ron, correct me if I'm wrong. MS 14-11-067 was postponed, right? So
Mr.
the
Chairman?
next item,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda, specifically to move up under final subdivision review, SD 04-08-024 PE2, as well as final subdivision review, SD 06-12-047F.
All right. Do we have a second on that? Seconded by Mr. Richard. Any further discussion? Please vote. All right. Motion to move these two items up on our agenda. All right, under page 3, final subdivision review, SD-04-08-024 PE2, Beatico Creek, partial E2, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owner is Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. The engineer is Kelly McHugh Associates. This is in Honorable Marty Dean's district and was postponed from the November 12th meeting. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on November 25th, 2014. The inspection disclosed that all asphalt roads are constructed and the concrete roundabout is constructed. Final grading of shoulders and roadside ditches were under construction. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. Items A through G are okay. A negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water system has not been issued by the Louisiana DHH OPH as required by section 40-070.0 of the subdivision regulatory ordinance number 499. A letter of acceptance and responsibilities for the perpetual maintenance and operations of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider as required. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of $15,400 for the asphalt roadway and $15,000 for the concrete roundabout. Therefore, the warranty obligation total is $30,400 for a period of 5 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. No mandatory developmental fees are required since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Department of Development and Planning have no comments.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Paul Morone on behalf of Beatico Creek Preserve LLC. You'll recall that this matter appeared on your agenda last month. We had some uncompleted items that we've been able to complete over the last months, and as Jeremy noted, everything is now complete. We are still waiting only on the bacteriological report, which will then trigger the letter of acceptance from the utility provider. So we expect to have that shortly, in which case we can submit that to your staff. So we would respectfully request your approval of final for parcel E2 at Beatico Creek.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Paul, first of all, I'd like to say that even with the items that were in our packet, the A through I, and the 3, 4, and 5, these are all just ministerial type items, and I understand that A through, is it G, are
Correct.
approved already. This is how we like to get these finals. It is a final subdivision. Everything's been done, and I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Matthews to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Richard. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item that we moved up was SD 06-12-047F, Prudent Creek, Ward 3, District 3. The developer owners Prudent Creek Partners LLC. The engineers Kelly McHugh Associates. This is in Honorable Red Thompson Parish Council District. Staff?
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on November 20th, 2014. The inspection disclosed that all asphalt roads are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, the roadside ditches are functioning, and a detention pond is constructed. The following minor uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. Need as-built paving and drainage drawings, since drawings submitted has no as-built elevations. B, C are okay. D, fence needs to be constructed in accordance with restrictive covenants number 15, 17, and 18. E, F, G, H, okay. Need signage as-built. J is okay. The Department of Health and Hospitals has not issued a permit for this subdivision. And after the fact, unlimited work order is required. M, N, and O, P, okay. The current layout of the wastewater treatment plant does not leave room for expansion if Simpson Farms subdivision is to be connected to this sewer system. A negative bacteriological report relative to the construction of the project's water system has not been issued by DHH OPH as required by Section 40-07.0 of the Subdivision Regulatory Ordinance Number 499. A letter of acceptance and responsibility for the perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider as required. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of $58,100 for a period of 5 years. The staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. The mandatory development fees are required as follow. The road impact fee will be $64,620. The drainage impact fee will be $66,840. Fees are due before subdivision plats can be signed. Department of Development and Planning have no comments.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Thank you. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm in Covington, and I represent the owner and developer, Prudent Creek Partners, LLC, and I appreciate you moving this item up this evening as my engineer, Mr. McHugh, has a meeting in Mandeville at 7 p.m. If we could, I'd like to go through the staff comments with you and bring you up to date on submissions that were made by letter dated December 8, I guess yesterday, by Mr. McHugh to staff. And I certainly understand that staff probably, although they've physically received it, may not have had a chance to look at it yet. With regard in particular to item 2 under Department of Engineering, as-builts have been submitted as it relates to item A. I believe that Jeremy indicated that items B and C had been taken care of, but we can confirm that the swales are in place and that Lot 2 now has this drainage arrow shown on the plat. As to item D, those fences do not need to be constructed prior to final, at least as it relates to item 15. And if you'd like to take a minute, I'll explain the difference. As we have, I guess, 3 fencing requirements as shown on restrictive covenants 15, 17, and 18 of your final subdivision plat. I will summarize, but item 15 refers to the 6-foot wooden fence that's to be constructed on the rear by the home builder on lots 1 through 26. Typically, the fences are not constructed until the house construction is complete. These are relatively small lots. It would make no sense to put the fence in first. It's typically done on the back end. Again, there's no parish requirement that requires that the fence be constructed at the time of final, but we certainly understand, as this restrictive covenant confirms, that before there would be occupancy of any home on a lot, the fence is obviously going to have to be constructed. Now, if you take a look, though, at the fence requirements for 17 and 18, I will just briefly say that we acknowledge that those fences do need to be constructed prior to the time that the plats are signed and recorded. The contract has been signed as it relates to the erection of the fencing, and we believe it will be completed in the next 7 to 10 days. So that's something that's going to happen now. That's a code matter. It should happen now, and it will happen before the plats are signed and recorded. Going back to the staff comments under item E, the discs have been provided. F, the street signs are up. G, the traffic signs are installed. H, the blue reflectors are installed. I, the as-built has been submitted. J, the spot elevation has been removed from Lot 48. With regard to items L and M, we are still awaiting DHH approval and understand that the plats cannot be signed and recorded until that approval has been granted. As to item M, the drawings have been appropriately labeled as built. N, the sewer slopes are now labeled as 0.4% as requested. O, the street names are now shown on the sewer and water plan. And P, the manhole at the cul-de-sac is now shown in the proper location. Leaving Q, and with regard to Q, we're not sure that it's an appropriate condition of this approval to talk about what needs another subdivision may have as it relates to enlarging this plant, but we want you to know that this plant has been positioned such that if there is a need for an enlargement, there has to be a 100-foot separator between the plants, and we have designated an area southeast approximately of the existing plant that would accommodate the plant that might be needed by the Simpson Farms development. So we have complied, I guess you would say, with that condition in that there is an area that's physically available if, in fact, when you approve Simpson Farms and it's determined that the plant needs to be enlarged, there'll be a spot here in the Prudent Creek development. With regard to R and S, as you might imagine, those items are not available because of the DHH approval not being forthcoming. So at the end of one other matter, which is important, we have now revised or will be revising our plan to show that there are 59 lots and not 60 lots, and that is because Lot 1, as shown on the plat, was not and was never owned by the developer and is not a part of the development. It was previously sold to a third party, I'm assuming. It was erroneously shown on our plat. That's our mistake. But we recognize that we need to submit a new plat to you that shows Lot 1 to be not a part, and it actually would not be Lot 1. We'll just show that parcel. So what that will do is reduce our total number of lots from 60 to 59, which likewise amends the calculations in item 5 with regard to the road impact fee and the drainage impact fee. With all of those things having been said, I would suggest to you that the things that you expected to see done on the ground and or the revisions on paper have all been done, with the exception of the fences that are needed, which I mentioned earlier, that 2 of those fence elements need to be done prior to plat signed and recorded. That contract has been executed and should be done in the next 7 to 10 days. The other thing we do not have, and I know it sounds like a broken record at final, but we still don't have the DHH approval. We don't expect anyone to sign and record a plat until we have that DHH approval, and that is certainly going to take care of the comment in R and S, as well as, K and L, K, L, R, and S. So with those things having been said, we respectfully request that you grant final subdivision approval, subject to staff comments, but also giving staff an opportunity to look at the things we've submitted to them yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. Shane.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Jeff, I don't remember you addressing the restrictive covenants number 18 specifically. You did 15 and 17.
Sorry, I said 16 and 17, and I should have said 17 and 18.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
You addressed number 15, you addressed number 17.
18 will be done as well in the next 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
That is an obligation of the developer, and the code requires that be done prior to the SATs being signed and recorded.
That being now explained, pretty much everything that we need to look at has been taken care of, and I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Matthews to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. Mr. Davis.
My only question is, Jeff, so Lot 1 is not part of it anymore? But it was originally?
No, sir.
Okay, so it was never added in the density calculations?
It may have, this subdivision has a history. Tony Marino was the prior owner and developer that got preliminary approval in '07. He may have owned it then, but it has never been a part of the resubmission that this developer, Prudent Creek Partners, made. It was erroneously carried on the plat, if you will.
So-
But
so
it's
you
not
don't
as
have to
if
change
this
anything.
developer owned it or has sold it off, or,
Okay, so you don't have to change any density calculations in the subdivision because of that?
well, if anything, it gets better. Now,
I understand that, but I'm saying, do you,
No.
is there something that you would have to do? Okay, thanks.
no, I guess actually, if you eliminated the area and the one unit, in theory, maybe the density calculation remains the same.
Thank you.
All right. Jeremy, I missed your comment as you were going through on, let's see. I think it was item B.
Which
Yeah,
item, sir?
Where the, on item B, where the lots 8, 9, and 10 cannot drain onto adjacent lots. Has that been corrected?
Yeah, that was corrected. There was, we did get some revised plans today at 1 o'clock, and they, I did have a chance to go through them. There were some issues that I saw on the paving and drainage as-built that can just be taken care of with the design engineer.
Okay.
But yes, sir, all the other ones are been addressed. Number 2B has been addressed, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Richard.
Mr. Chair, I have two quick questions. One's for Jeff. Jeff, on these plans, and again, they may have been revised, is the brown shaded, is that the fence line that we're going to construct? And it's the only thing that's colored on our plan. Is that the fence?
That's the walking trail in the PUD.
Oh, okay. All right, I wasn't clear. It's actually going to go around then that lot that is not part of this subdivision, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
The second question is for staff. Are you satisfied with the comments made regarding to the sewer plant? Because that could be a big deal.
Well, I mean, there's no way to know where the sewer plant's gonna go, so it was just kind of a heads up to know that they are planning to tie these two subdivisions together with the expansion needed in this subdivision, so, but there's really no other information, so.
Well, I realize you don't see it, but hearing testimony, are you confident that that is a solution?
And if they say they have a place that they can put it, then yeah.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, back on page 2, under preliminary subdivision review, SD 06-06-018, P as in Paul 1A, Countryside, Phase 1A, Ward 1, District 3. The developer owners Abita Equities, engineers Aero Engineering, Parish Council District Representatives Honorable Red Thompson. This is postponed from our November 12th meeting. Staff?
Preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office and inspection was made of the site. It is recommended that preliminary submittal be approved subject to the following. Show 1-foot contours on drainage plan. Revised hydro study for a 25% reduction instead of a 10% reduction. Revised note number 3 on drainage plan to RCPA instead of BCCMP. Need to indicate what is to drain into the servitude and where the servitude will discharge. Flow arrows on the lot indicate drainage to the front drainage ditch without allowing for split drainage towards the drainage servitude. Need a profile view of the proposed drainage servitude with direction of flow. Need drainage stormwater site plan to indicate sediment erosion BMPs for the drainage servitude and the green space behind the lots. Need copy of the SWIP maintained on construction site for stormwater inspections. Need copy of LDEQ stormwater permit letter with agency interest number prior to work order. A funded maintenance obligation in the amount of $10,000 is required in accordance with subdivision ordinance number 499, section 40.061.08, funded letter of credit for existing parish roads to ensure the repair of any damage of the parish roads resulting from construction in connection with the subdivision. Mandatory developmental fees will be required at final submittal in accordance with ordinance number 04-0990, since no public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Department of Development Planning have no comments.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm Darrell Fassell with Arrow Engineering, and we've talked with Jeremy, and the items A, B, and C will be changing that on our drainage plan. Items D, E, and F have to do with the servitude, 20-foot drainage servitude that's shown on the rear of the plat, but we don't require a drainage servitude back there, so we'll be taking that off of there and off of the plat, and so that takes care of those items. And then the other two items are just administrative. And this is an existing parcel that's on an existing road with existing ditches and existing sewer and water. And so we're just putting these 8 lots into commerce, and we request for approval.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? Yes, ma'am. Come forward, state your name.
Hello, my name is Joan Cox. I'm a resident in the subdivision, and I just want to find out if the plan is to build the same kind of construction that's already in the neighborhood, or if it's going to be a different kind of structures on those lots.
All right. Let's see if we can get an answer. Darrell, you have an answer on that, or?
Good evening, I'm Bernard Fromhurst, represent the development company in Beta Equities. The answer is yes. The existing covenants and restrictions for the subdivision have already incorporated this property into this property has been incorporated into the HOA. So they will be the same exact covenants, square footage, requirements of houses, size of lot. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commissioners. Ms. Casabon.
Yes, I'm familiar with this area, live very close to it, drive through it often. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Casabon to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. I do have a question, Jeremy, for y'all. On the existing detention ponds, is there gonna be enough capacity in those ponds to handle these 8 lots?
Yeah, we believe there should be. I think it just might have been a typographical error, or maybe he might have been mixing it with commercial, but yes, all it is just rerunning the model to make sure, because what he did run with 10%, there was plenty enough freeboard left. So we feel that 25% should be, the storage in the existing pond should handle the 25% reduction for these 8 lots, yes.
Okay, all right.
We will confirm that, though, with a new model, but.
All right, just, in my mind, if the ponds were already existing and they were calculated one way, and then all of a sudden you're gonna add 8 more lots, just to be sure that we do have the right ponds. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just so you know, I looked at the old drainage reports back from 2008, whatever, and Paul Carroll was there. I don't know if you were around that day, but anyway, and there's several thousand cubic feet of excess storage it's a series of 3 ponds. It's all drained together, so this 8 lots is really not a big deal for
Little or no impact.
Yeah.
This is really, I think, a unique entrance, off of 190, that there's a lot of detention, all alongside of it, but you can't tell it because of the growth in it. You can tell that they're detention ponds, and stuff, but I've been through there, and I don't think I've ever seen them hold water. I mean, so they doing their job. It's amazing for that area.
All right, thank you. Mr. Matthews.
I was just, I guess, maybe a little bit beating a dead horse, but I was concerned that the revised hydro study, this wasn't just a error on the map or the plat that they need to change. There's a whole new study they need to do to show that there's to be a 25% reduction. Is that correct?
Yeah, he has the model already set up, I believe, but all he had to do is just change some numbers around and then rerun the model. Is that
Okay, and then-
correct, Darrell?
And then you all going to look at the model to,
Yes, sir.
in fact, approve that it will do the 25%?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you all satisfied that they do not need the drainage servitude?
That's correct. That's up to the developer. There's no ordinance saying they need it. At the time, right now, you can look at it. It looks like it would be for split drainage of the lots, but the typical drainage of the lots look from rear to front. So we were just wondering if there was, if they wanted to do split drainage, they can. If they choose not to, the servitude's not required. It's ultimately up to the developer,
Okay,
though.
so you were satisfied, D, is in fact they don't need it? Okay,
Correct.
that's all I needed. Thank you.
All right. I see no lights on. We have a motion and a second on to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we got on the final subdivisions, we took care of the item 1 and 3. And we have the second one, which is SD 08-04-005 FIII, the Village at Bocage, Phase 3, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owners First Horizon Incorporated. Engineers Kelly McLennan and Associates. Parish Council District is Honorable Marty Dean. Staff?
Yes, sir. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on November 20th, 2014. The inspection disclosed that all asphalt roads are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, the roadside ditches are constructed, road shoulders are constructed, and the roadside ditches are functioning. The following minor uncompleted items existed at the time of final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. Items A and B are okay. Need floppy disk or latest format. Need invert elevations at each property corner. Need blue reflectors. Item F is okay. And then a letter of acceptance and responsibility for the perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer system has not been issued by the utility provider as required. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of $40,700 for a period of 5 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are required as follows. The road impact fee will be $70,005. The drainage impact fee would be $72,410. Fees are due before subdivision plats can be signed. Department of Planning and Development have no comments.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Paul Maroon on behalf of First Horizon Incorporated, the developer of the Villages of Bocage. This is the last phase of the project. And having spoken with Billy Taylor, our engineer, who's here, I believe that all of the items on the staff's list are now completed, other than item 2G, which is the letter of acceptance from the sewer district for the sewer service. All other items have been submitted and are in the possession of the staff. As far as the sewer goes, we expect to have that letter of acceptance anytime. As you may recall, and much like the Beatico Creek development, the sewer at this development is treated across the parish line in the district facility for Tangipahoa Parish. So sometimes they're a little bit delayed in getting us their letters, but we expect that to be done very shortly. I would point out that there are no lift stations in this phase. It's just gravity lines, so there's really nothing for them to inspect. There's nothing left for anybody to do other than for their director to go ahead and write the letter, which we hope to have later this week or beginning of next. With that said, we would respectfully request your approval of this final phase of the Villages of Bocage.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. I'll start with Mr. Randolph down there.
A motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Randolph to approve, seconded by, Mr. Lauren. Mr. Davis.
Yeah, Jeff, I like the aesthetic pond. I like that. Like, you know, I think that's the first time I've ever seen on a plat where it says aesthetic pond instead of retention pond. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Absolutely. We knew you would like that.
And I don't know. But it is a functional retention pond, is what I'm saying, right? Or is it?
No, I believe, I
Okay.
don't believe that one performs any detention function. It is truly aesthetic.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthews.
Just one quick question, staff. Did you say D and E had been taken care of?
There's some discrepancy with the positive flow at the ditch inverts with D. We did receive some plans. Billy Taylor actually submitted, I believe, last week, and we had a chance to review them. I have not talked to him about it, but just pretty simple revisions on that.
Is that a revision on the plan, or is that
It's
something
gonna
that
be
actually has to be work done out there?
No, it's going to be a revised plan, yes, sir. What happens is the as-built elevations and maybe some proposed elevations at the property corners sometimes get changed. So if you go with an as-built elevation, maybe some silt might happen wherever. It really depends on where if the rod falls in the dirt a little bit, and you get a different reading. So we're off by, I think, a couple of tenths of a foot. But that can be easily corrected with just some proposed corner inverts for when they set the culverts, when the home builders come in. Easy fix, need blue reflectors. We were just waiting on confirmation that they were in.
And they are in. They're in.
All right, I see no other lights on. We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Excuse me. Old business, entering parish right of way. Nellie and Beth Drives, Ward 8, District 14, request to enter parish right of way for the purpose of widening the roadways and improving the drainage. The debtor is Track Petroleum LLC. This is Honorable T.J. Smith's district, and the request by the debtor is asking for an extension of time. Staff?
Yeah, this was an approved, enter the parish right away. I guess it was about 6 months ago it got approved. It's just extending out to allow for the documentation to get to us within the 6 months, and then a completion date in December 2016. Also, there's they're asking for the y'all commissioners to approve a reduction in the performance obligation from $77,000 to $68,000 due to the fact that they're not going to extend the road as far as they were when this first was requested. So they're changing that. Both times they've given us an estimate of what the construction costs, and that's what we use to establish the $77,000. And then they also gave us a new estimate, and that's what we're using to establish the $68,000.
All right, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Staff, when was this documentation originally due?
It was originally due it is going to expire, I would have to look back at it, but 6 months ago almost. I think the expiration was sometime this month, but it was before the January Planning Commission. So in between now and the January Planning Commission, that 6 months was due to expire. Now the requirements to do this sometimes involves a core permit, which is a little timely process in some instances.
But you don't know that.
Well, in the resolution, I don't have the old resolution with me, the old approval for enter the parish right away, but that is one of our.
That was over a year ago, was the original resolution.
Okay. So this would be the second time extension, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so we're 6 months past the original due date, and they're asking for an additional 6 months.
That's correct, yes,
There's
sir.
nobody here to explain to us why.
I think
well,
there's
maybe
somebody
we do have someone.
in
Hold
the
on.
audience, yes.
Here's a card.
Hi, I'm Margaret Harrett with Racetrack Petroleum, and we're asking for extension in time on this project for development. We're trying to get construction out there to do the road improvements, which is what we're asking for this extension, to go in and make our improvements. We had to work through some stuff with the traffic department to get our driveways approved. We recently got that in the past 6 months, which was part of the reason for the extension. We've worked through all of that, received all of our permits, and are working through some real estate closings right now to finalize all of the parcels in order to go and build this store. So we're asking for extension so that we can actually go out and construct the actual property.
They're building a store?
I'm sorry, this is for Racetrack Petroleum
I think
exist.
maybe we have the wrong thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we? This is the right one? Okay.
And we're installing, we are having to widen the driveway, or the Nellie and Beth Drive. Currently,
Okay.
the existing driveways are
Okay.
not wide enough, so we're actually making those roadways wider for our future development. And so the development hasn't come yet, so we haven't done the improvements yet. The anticipated time is within the next year, by second quarter.
Okay.
We'll have the improvements in the ground.
Anything else, Bill?
So you're saying that this should be completed in this 6-month extension?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve.
Ron?
Second?
Okay. We got a motion by Mr. Matthews to approve, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion, Ms. Casabon?
Yeah, staff, you're okay with these numbers that they ran for the, through the reduce, because we're also voting to reduce the amount for the road work?
Correct, yes.
Y'all
that's
are okay
the-
with it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good.
All right, no further discussion, please vote. Motion carries, thank you. All right, next item is SD 13-07-003P, Berkshire, Ward 8, District 9. The developer owner is Berkshire Partners LLC. The engineer is J.V. Berkson Associate. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Gene Bellisario. The developer is requesting an extension for 6 months for a work order. Staff?
Yes, sir. This is just to grant extension for the time of submittal of a work order to June 30th, 2015. Previously, it was extended to December 31st of this year, I think a couple months back at the Planning Commission. But that's the gist of it. It's just an extension for submittal of a work order within that year period, or have to come back to the Planning Commission for preliminary approval.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Steve DeVerney representing the petitioner. You might recall Berkshire was a project that in 2013 we redid the entire layout to avoid a considerable amount of wetlands on the property. We were able to go from 17 acres of impacted wetlands down to 6. But what that required us to do, in addition to going ahead and get a major amendment to our PUD zoning and everything else, we had to go back to the Corps of Engineers with our revised plan in order that they consider this. We just got a final permit on November the 25th. It was mailed to us. That, of course, impacted the geotechnical borings for the road design and these sorts of things that the engineering department is requiring. So we've got, and several other items related to engineering that require on-site excavations, in this case road borings, was about the only thing I can think of any major consequence. So we're finally now at the point where we can go on the site, do our road borings, present them to the Department of Engineering, along with a few other smaller items that they need to go ahead and grant the work order. So that's really the purpose of the extension at this point. It was just to get us primarily past the wetland permitting process that we had to go through a second time.
All right, thank you, Mr. DeVerney. Anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Ms. Casabon.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Casabon to approve. Do I hear a second? Second by Mr. Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have no new business, and I'll take the motion to adjourn. Moved by Ms. Casabon to adjourn. Thank you.
That's about it.